Oh, good Monday morning to you. Welcome to Good Day Lubbock. I'm Kristen Carroll. James is out for the day. Just ahead this morning, Bart Regal will stand before a judge today. The charges he's indicted on and how much time in prison he could face. And the recommended pause on the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine has been lifted when you can start setting up appointments to get your shots here in Lubbock. President Biden has a big week ahead of him. He's expected to unveil in his first address to a joint session of Congress. And Elon Musk venturing into comedy, the show he's set to host later in Trending Stories. Those stories and more to come in a moment. But first, let's check in with Bobby.
Well, a little bit of difference to start off this Monday morning. We have a little bit of cloud cover across our area versus the sunshine of yesterday. We're looking out on the tower cam, 64 degrees here in Lubbock, southerly wind at 10 miles per hour. Now, although we have the cloud cover, we also have some very dry air, humidity value at 45%. Now, southwest wind, already a little bit of a breeze, about 10 to 20 miles per hour across our area. Wind speeds will be an issue again through this afternoon, at times up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. And as you notice, temperatures quickly warming up. Lower 80s by noon, high about 91 degrees. We made it to 92 yesterday. And with that gusty southwest wind and dry air, we have that critical risk for wildfires. But as you notice into Tuesday, things will turn around. We will have a chance for some storms in our area, some of which severe, and also a small cool down, high of 85. We will be dropping even more into temperatures as we're getting through this week. We'll look at how long these chances for rain last coming up in about 12 minutes.
All right, thank you, Bobby. Well, Bart Regal will make his initial appearance before a judge in Amarillo today. That's going to be at 2 this afternoon. He's facing 2 counts of bank fraud and 1 count of making false statements to a federally insured bank. The U.S. Attorney's Office claims he deceived the bank to secure a capital loan of $10 million. The Justice Department claims he set aside nearly $2 million of that for personal use, which is a violation of his loan agreement. If convicted, he could be sentenced to up to 90 years in federal prison. We'll have a team in Amarillo for that arraignment, and we'll bring you updates throughout the day. A woman's in the hospital in serious condition after her estranged boyfriend shot her in the face, then killed himself. Police responded to that call around 7 p.m. Friday night near Brownfield Drive and Elkhart Avenue. They found 25-year-old Angel Sanchez and 28-year-old Jonathan Infante, both with life-threatening gunshot wounds. Investigators say the two had been in a relationship and Sanchez wanted to end it. Police say someone gave Sanchez a ride home from work, and when she went inside her house, Infante was there, armed with a pistol. Sanchez ran back to the vehicle trying to escape. Infante approached the vehicle's driver's side window, shot Sanchez in the face, then shot himself. The driver was not hurt. A body camera footage has been released from a shooting in Virginia. 32-year-old Isaiah Brown was shot by a sheriff's deputy who had previously given him a ride just an hour earlier. A warning to you, this video may be disturbing to some viewers.
He's got a gun to his head. Drop the gun now! Stop walking towards me! Stop walking towards me! Stop! Stop!
A Spotsylvania County deputy reportedly shot Brown during a domestic call. How the incident escalated into a shooting is now under investigation. An attorney for Brown said his client was shot while on the phone with 911 and that the deputy mistook the phone for a gun. Brown was taken to Mary Washington Hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Virginia State Police conducting an investigation at the request of the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office. The criminal investigative file then may be turned over to a special prosecutor for review. An update now, the shooting death of Andrew Brown Jr. by police in North Carolina. Pasquotank County Sheriff says he wants the body camera video to be made public, but it's not in his hands, saying only a judge can do so. But as the public waits, Brown's family will get to view the footage this morning.
After days of public outcry and protests demanding the body camera video of Andrew Brown's deadly shooting be released, the family will finally have their chance to view it.
My co-counsel has spoken to the family directly about that issue, but I do know that they are pleased and have requested to see the recording.
Wayne Kendall, one of the lawyers for the family, says Brown's older children, his siblings, aunts, uncles, and cousins will be able to privately watch the footage Monday morning. The 42-year-old was shot and killed Wednesday as Pasquotank County Sheriff's deputies were serving a warrant on felony drug charges. Kendall says Brown was unarmed as he was driving away from the scene. Watching what may have led to the shooting will help the family move forward.
It's part of the healing process to know what happened to their loved one who was tragically gunned down in the manner in which Mr. Brown was gunned down. So it's a start to the healing process, but I think it's saying a bit much to say that in and of itself is going to bring closure.
The family's fight isn't over. Lawyers are continuing their push to get the footage released to the public. Kendall says since the recording isn't considered public record under North Carolina law, it'll be up to law enforcement to make it public.
There may never, ever be an opportunity for the public to see these recordings.
Meantime, Brown's family remains hopeful that the deputies will be held accountable as the investigation plays out.
We just want the truth out. We just want the sheriff to let us know what's going on and the truth. That's all we want. We want justice.
Now, the Pasquotank County Sheriff says he will file a motion for the body camera footage after he gets confirmation that releasing the video will not undermine the investigation. More than 800 Lubbock voters checked into the polls yesterday. On the ballot is the emotionally charged issue of abortion. It's been getting a big response since early voting opened last Monday. Lubbock voters are being asked a simple for or against whether to amend the city's code of ordinances to outlaw abortion. Now, City Council agreed with that take when members unanimously rejected a petition for this ordinance back in December, saying it wasn't legally enforceable. You can vote early at United Stores and Citizens Tower. Nearly 179,000 people are registered to vote in our city. Election day is May 1st. It is normal protocol for election workers to drop off voting machines the Friday before early voting begins, but the equipment's supposed to be secured. Our Blair Sable tells us about an unprecedented situation that's now changing the rules at early voting locations.
At the Shallowater Community Center, Alderman David Brugel was hosting an event just days before early voting began. But feet away, several voting machines lay behind an unsecured door. County Commissioner Jason Corley made the discovery.
Walked into the kitchen area and on the way to the bathroom, looked over and saw the voting machines. Oh, that's a problem.
He says there was only one door that was unlocked. It was a fire exit door with a push bar. He notified the county judge, the elections office, and the sheriff's office.
Well, there's always a concern when you put your machines out and you leave them locked in a room and everything, and somebody says, oh, something might have happened.
Elections Administrator Dorothy Kennedy says it's regular protocol to deliver some elections materials the weekend before early voting begins. But she says in her 18 years on the job, nothing like this has ever happened. But the discovery is not actually considered a security breach.
None of the equipment was actually touched or messed with. All the seals were still on there. Everything was still intact. The doors were just open, and we're not sure how that happened or why.
Texas Election Code Section 129-51 requires an election information storage medium to be kept by an election official or in a secured location. It refers to something called the controller, not the voting machines, and at the time it was under lock and key at the elections office.
These are just boxes of metal that do nothing until the deputy comes in Monday morning and brings the controller unit. And that's then when that is connected, then these become voting machines.
The county elections office did replace them on Sunday evening out of an abundance of caution.
Our number one concern here in Lubbock County is to make sure that our voters know that their elections are safe, secure, and transparent.
Community activities scheduled at the center during the early voting period were also canceled. Kennedy says that will be the norm moving forward. Blair Sable, Good Day Lubbock.
Well, you can now book an appointment for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine online or by phone this morning at 10. This comes after the CDC and FDA lifted its recommended pause on the single-dose vaccine on Friday. The agencies report the vaccine is safe and effective in preventing the virus, and the vaccine's known and potential benefits outweigh its known and potential risks in those who are 18 and older. Research suggests the chance of blood clots occurring is very low, but health officials say they will continue investigating the risks. Millions of Americans missing appointments for their second dose of the vaccine, creating a surplus now of supply. President Biden's now pledging to send India vaccine materials as virus cases and deaths there skyrocket.
Outdoor dining with an atmosphere set up, and you still have social distancing. I think that's perfect because we need to live again.
More than a year into the pandemic, and many folks are eager for a life to return to normal. As states continue rolling back COVID restrictions, the presence of vaccines is giving people hope that normal is right around the corner.
People are vaccinated and they're not worried.
But health authorities say vaccines are only effective if administered correctly. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reporting more than 5 million Americans who got their first Pfizer or Moderna shot have failed to go back and get their second dose. This is at least twice as many people than at the beginning of the vaccine rollout.
Above all else, your health and safety come first.
The U.S. is also facing continued scrutiny among the international community for having a large supply of vaccines and not enough people getting the shots. Officials are calling for doses to be shared with struggling countries.
There are people getting sick and dying every day throughout the world.
Meanwhile, overseas in India, the pandemic is crippling the country. Officials there reporting close to 350,000 new cases in a span of 24 hours over the weekend. The situation overwhelming hospital resources. But President Biden is now pledging to send vaccine materials, tweeting in part, quote, "We are determined to help India in its time of need." Sal Giangrasso, Fox News.
Well, President Biden has a big week ahead of him. The chief executive will be marking his first 100 days in office on Friday. And on Wednesday night, he'll be delivering remarks to a joint session of Congress for the first time. During the speech, he's expected to unveil his next economic proposal, the American Families Plan. A price tag will reportedly be around $1.5 trillion. That proposal is expected to call for more spending on education, child care, and social programs. And only invited members of Congress will be allowed to attend the address. Touring shows are ready to return to the Hub City. The big names making their way into Lubbock coming up, and remote work's only becoming more prominent in the pandemic. What one study has to say about the accompanying negatives, that's later in the Morning Business Report.
While we didn't beat the record high temperature yesterday, we made it to 92 degrees, the record of 104 back in 2012. Now, it's going to stay hot again today, but we are going to be cooling down this week, and we'll be talking about those rain chances coming up next on Good Day Lubbock.
You're watching Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock with James Epler, Kristen Carroll, and weather with meteorologist Bobby Johnston. All local, all morning. Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock.
Good Monday morning to you and welcome to Good Day Lubbock. I'm Kristen Carroll. James is out for the day. And here's what's happening this morning. An eventful week ahead for President Biden, what he's expected to outline in his first address to a joint session of Congress. And how exactly did rainwater flood Citizens Tower in a storm last month? We'll have details on that still to come. But first, let's check on our forecast with Bobby.
Well, a small range in temperatures for our area this morning. We have a few 50s to our northwest, Clovis at 55 as well as Friona. 64 here in Lubbock. To our southeast, we still have some 70s. Jayton at 70, Jayton at 72, Post at 70. And it is already a little bit of a breeze out there, 10 to 18 miles per hour from the southwest. And very dry air across our area with humidity values only in the 40s and 50s. And with that southwest wind expected to increase through this afternoon, we continue that risk for wildfires across our entire area, even extending across the entire state of New Mexico with that red flag warning. High today of 91, southwest wind at times will be up to 20 to 30 miles per hour, especially during the afternoon hour. So another hot one. We'll have a little bit more cloud cover than that sunshine of yesterday, though. We're talking about the chance for storms in our area for Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll look at where that better chance lies coming up in about 15 minutes.
All right, thank you, Bobby. President Biden preparing to deliver his first speech to a joint session of Congress this week. Some new polling data shows his relative strengths and challenges as he outlines his agenda for the month and years ahead.
President Biden is waiting relatively late to deliver his first address to a joint session of Congress compared to his recent predecessors, but he'll be marking his first 100 days in office and what lies ahead. President Biden returned to the White House last night, looking ahead to a big week. On Wednesday, he delivers his first address to a joint session of Congress.
This is a president who has an extraordinary amount of courage.
Vice President Kamala Harris spoke yesterday about a president whose approval number is now at 54% of registered voters. Compared to President Trump at the same stage in his presidency, that's a good number. But it falls well below Presidents Obama and Bush after their first 100 days. Look for Biden to make a big push on Wednesday for his $2 trillion spending plan that includes infrastructure. Our same poll shows that a plurality of voters, 49%, support it. Republicans are betting that will change.
I think when America found out just 6% is going to the roads, that they're not going to be built for more than a decade, that we spend more on subsidizing electric car than we do on roads, bridges, and airports in this bill, I don't think that will be popular.
And the president is in something of a hurry to make his case.
He knows very well that as a president, your runway is pretty short in terms of getting big legislation done. And so while we're seeing big, grand ambitions right now, he knows that when he looks 6-8 months down the road, when he looks into his second year of his presidency, all of those get a lot harder.
A lot harder because Congress could look much different after the midterm elections. In Washington, Doug Luzader for Good Day Lubbock.
We now know how the water from a rainstorm flooded the basement at Citizens Tower last month. City leaders say the water entered the municipal garage construction site, flooding the underground tunnels between the buildings. Now, the city reports it's working with the contractor to assess and repair the damage. There's no definite time frame on when the building will be fully repaired and operational. Utility customer service representatives are available in the lobby of Citizens Tower during regular business hours. City staffers say a more thorough assessment will be given after the investigation is complete. Health experts are concerned about the number of Americans who haven't gone back to get their second COVID-19 vaccination. Now, federal health officials say nearly 8% of Americans, which translates to more than 5 million people, have failed to get their second dose of the coronavirus vaccine. The CDC says more than half of all adults in the U.S. have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, but fewer than 30% have been fully vaccinated. Doctors say skipping that second dose can leave people more vulnerable to COVID's highly transmissible variants. And on top of that, they say it's unclear how long the protection from a single shot may last. A larger number of Asian American parents are considering not sending their kids back to school for in-person learning as the number of Asian hate crimes remains high.
For many parents, deciding to send their kids back to school during a pandemic can be a tough choice, but a growing number of Asian American parents are worried their children could be exposed to more than just the coronavirus, as the increase in Asian hate crimes is causing major concerns.
Hate crimes against AAPIs in this country, even though they are underreported, rose by 150% in this past year alone.
According to the latest data from the Department of Education, roughly 7 in 10 Asian American students, grades K through 12, are still learning remotely, far more than their white, black, and Hispanic counterparts.
We are fighting COVID-19 and anti-Asian hate virus, and it's not an easy decision to hold my son back.
For some parents sending their kids back, they say it's important to have honest conversations about what's going on in the world.
There might be anti-Asian verbal attacks, and so I think it's important to talk to your kids, get them mentally prepared.
This comes as authorities in New York are hunting for a suspect in the latest attack on an Asian American man. The attacker is seen repeatedly kicking the victim in the head before walking away. And government officials say enough is enough, with the Senate recently passing a bill that could help make it easier to solve and prosecute hate crimes against Asian Americans. Ashley Strohmeyer, Fox News.
Well, the IRS is holding back millions of tax returns for manual processing, and that could cause your refund to be delayed by weeks. An IRS internal watchdog says as many as 29 million returns are being held back due to changes from the coronavirus pandemic. Two credits, the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit, were expanded in President Biden's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package. 8 million returns have to be reviewed for receiving stimulus checks. About 5 million have to be checked for processing or fraud identification. And there's still a massive backlog of processed 2019 paper tax returns to complete. That filing deadline this year is May 17th. A tough weekend for the Red Raiders. We're going to have a recap of the baseball and softball losses in morning sports. And some women say the COVID-19 vaccine's messing with their menstrual cycles. The surprising turn of events that some older women are reporting. That's next in Fox 34 Your Health at 7:38.
You're watching Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock with James Epler, Kristen Carroll, and weather with meteorologist Bobby Johnston. All local, all morning. Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock. And now, morning sports on Fox 34's Good Day Lubbock.
Now 7:41, fifth-ranked Texas Tech baseball lost its series to Baylor over the weekend. Now this marks Baylor's first win in Lubbock since the 2010 season and the first Big 12 series loss at home for the Red Raiders since 2018. The Red Raiders are 8-7 in Big 12 play. Up next, they'll host New Mexico for a non-con matchup on Wednesday. Texas Tech softball has also seen better days. Red Raiders were run-ruled by the Sooners 20-0 yesterday afternoon. Now, this loss is the largest margin of defeat in series history and the most runs allowed by Tech since 2018 against the Sooners. Tech was held scoreless all weekend, tallying just 8 total hits. Meanwhile, the top offense in the country, Oklahoma, scored 40 runs in the 3-game span with 16 hits yesterday to get the sweep. The Red Raiders look to bounce back at home against Iowa State for that final Big 12 series of the season.
Our entire area yesterday was in the 90s. Lubbock made it to 92, 94 in Hobbs and Jayton. We're going to continue some of these hotter temperatures for this afternoon, but we will be cooling down. We'll look at by how much and talk about some rain chances in our area. That's coming up next on Good Day Lubbock.
And now, Fox 34 Your Health with Kristen Carroll.
Well, some women are growing concerned that the COVID-19 vaccine is affecting their menstrual cycles. Fox's Sally Schultz spoke with 2 doctors about the potential side effect.
Shortly after getting COVID vaccines, many people say they got a surprising side effect.
I actually got my first post-vaccine period, and it was a raging period.
Dr. Kate Clancy, an associate professor of anthropology at the University of Illinois, shared her story on Twitter, generating a huge response. People reporting periods way early and heavy, women in menopause getting a period again, and plenty reporting they're scared.
It started getting so much attention. We had so many responses. And people felt so validated, I think, by hearing they were not the only ones with this experience.
So Dr. Clancy and Dr. Catherine Lee at Washington University School of Medicine launched a research project on menstrual experiences with COVID-19 vaccines.
We were expecting around maybe 500 people would care enough to fill out our survey. Around lunchtime today, about 44,500 people have started this survey.
The researchers say they've even heard from women in vaccine trials whose concerns were dismissed and not recorded. And they've heard from menopausal women, those on birth control, and even trans men quite shocked by a change.
You can imagine the kind of how unexpected and potentially even scary it might be if you don't historically menstruate to then experience menstrual bleeding.
These menstrual experts say your body's immune response can change your cycle, but it's likely short-term and does not affect fertility. And they stress this is no reason to skip the shot.
I would have 10 more heavy periods to be protected from this virus. I do not want to get this, and I don't want to give it to my children.
These researchers believe people deserve to know how the shot could change their period and deserve scientists who actually care. Sally Schulze, Fox News.
Full check of your forecast coming up next with Bobby, and Honda is joining the Green Initiative. The goal it has set for 2040. That's in the Ag and Energy Report still to come. It's 7:45.